Earlier today, you talked about the process of getting Don't Ask, Don't Tell repealed, but could you elaborate on how you think it will make the U.S. military a more cohesive and effective fighting force?
I've spoken very specifically about that in my testimony. Fundamentally, I believe that we are asking young men and women to come in and essentially lie. It's counter to our values as a military. It's counter to what I've valued my whole life in the military. And from that perspective, that's why I personally believe, and it is a belief, that it's time to change. I said in that testimony, I repeat here, I've served with those that I thought were gay my whole life, my first ship in 1968 up until right now. I certainly haven't seen, and they were, quite frankly, thought to be gay or lesbian by a lot of people in the command. Never saw any debilitating impact that I could put my finger on from that standpoint. So it is really important, however, to work through this process, this review over the course of this year, to understand, should the law change, the impact on of that change. Part of my responsibility is to lead in a time of change and to lead that change in order to understand that, in order to do that and do it in a way that preserves the unit integrity, cohesion, readiness, all those things, military effectiveness, all of which are at the top of the list. That's something I need to understand, and I'll know a lot more about that as we get through this review towards the end of the year, and what it will take to lead should that law change.
I went through the last Navy ROTC class here at Columbia College for 4 years. I want your thoughts and President Bollinger's thoughts about the possibility of reestablishing a Navy ROTC unit here at Columbia College.
Actually, we talked about this whole issue over lunch in terms of, and this is part of what I believe is the transformative moment, that there are opportunities out there now that that it might be time to do that. And as a 68 graduate, you'll understand how difficult it was back then. Probably you more than I. I was 68 at the Naval Academy, where we were cocooned off in many ways. Not that I wasn't exposed, but it goes back to what I said earlier. I think representation, and in particular to universities in the Northeast, would be of great benefit to both the universities as well as the military, as well as the country. There are, I will say, and I don't know specifics at this point, there are limits to how many we can actually create, because we're a much smaller force than we were way back when. Even now, as we have universities or colleges that come in across the country that want to create an ROTC unit from any service, we can't just snap our fingers and make it happen, because we're limited into where we get our accessions and how many we can create. So, but from an overall perspective, I think it's an important step to take for the reasons that I just described.
And I would say a couple things. First of all, this issue has to go through the University Senate. That's what I've said before, and have to happen again. So there has to be faculty-student debate about this, and that would happen. I think the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is the crucial, really been the crucial divide. And it's been a very difficult, this has been going on since the late 1980s, even before that. And the debate became much more difficult over the past 5 to 10 years. With this new direction, I think there are enormous opportunities, not only with respect to ROTC, but other things as well, for rebuilding the relationship between American universities and the military. As the Admiral indicated, whether ROTC is right for even this, how that's structured and the like, those are major policy questions that are decided not here, but elsewhere. But I can tell you, I think the campus will be much more receptive, this and many other universities, if not almost all of them, to rebuilding that relationship. A year or so ago, I was in an audience where Secretary Gates spoke to university presidents, and I asked him what he felt about the prospects of changing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, because I feel that is the principal problem, because it's a conflict of basic moral, ethical values for universities, that we will not have programs or do things that discriminate invidiously against a group of our students, and gay and lesbian students are entitled to full treatment, equal treatment in the institution. So it's a deep, deep problem for us. And his answer was that, in his view, this was no longer a military issue, it was a political issue. And I think that's what we're now facing, and I think it's very important for us to try to help that process move ahead towards a good outcome. Admiral Mullen, thank you very much for coming to Columbia.